Good morning. This is video number 24 of 30 videos in 30 days. I skipped yesterday. I'm making two today. This is the first. It's a little after 8 in the morning. So at least I'm starting early with this one. Um, this has this is not a thought out video. There's no script or anything. I just decided I needed to get one done quickly. I'm going somewhere. I'm leaving directly after this, going on some errands. So I just wanted to get this out and say, I got video 24 out of the way. So uh, just to let you know what I'm working on, I've watched a couple of James Clear videos yesterday, and he hammered home the point that we are a very outcome oriented society, and focusing on the outcome pointing in is exactly the opposite of what one needs to do to be more productive. It should be focusing focusing from in going out, and his method of defining that was changing your identity. If you don't identify as someone who does certain things which are leading you towards that goal, whether it's getting in shape, starting a business, losing weight, whatever, um, you're not going to achieve that goal. He could say it a lot better than I have, given it's early. I'm speaking off the top of my head quickly, and like I said, this was not thought out. But his point was, it's less productive to set a goal of losing 100 pounds and working towards that than thinking of yourself as someone who eats well and is active and is losing a little bit of weight every day all the time. Uh, the, the, the major point he had concerning all this was having small steps that you are steadily working on every day, as opposed to trying to make the big leaps between wherever you're at right now and whatever your goal happens to be. And to be focusing on the steps day by day instead of focusing on the goal. And it was a long talk. It was on the Tom Bilyeu show, actually, and his are usually like 40 minutes to an hour long. But one of the examples that he used was, if you're if you're playing on a team sport, you're not focused on the scoreboard. You're focused on the next play, and that's what you're doing all day long. And as some famous coach said, and I'm going to put a link down below so you can watch the video and see what he says, just so you can get it right and not have to work from this. Um, but one famous coach said, "The score will take care of itself." And if you're working on, and there were two things that were tied together, and these things, more than a lot of other things that I've watched, seen, read, whatever, made sense, were simple enough to comprehend and actually use, then I'm going to focus on these and then build off of these with other stuff that people provide in terms of information that I can glean from them on how they improve the quality of their lives. But the two main things that he had to impart were, um, instead of focusing on goals, focus on systems and processes, and instead of working outward in, work inward out. and that is identify as if you want to write a book, okay, that's your end goal, but that's not where you start. You start by becoming a writer, meaning you're going to set up a space, you're going to write every day, um, things like that. You know, you don't climb Mount Everest. Well, it's the longest journey begins with a single step. You don't climb Mount Everest by thinking, I want to climb Mount Everest, and then you're there. You start by planning the whole trip out very specifically and intricately, and there's a lot of steps involved, short of the physical steps you take to get to the top of the mountain. Just getting to the base of the mountain is a whole process. But you don't climb Mount Everest just by saying you're going to do it and going and doing it. You have to identify first as somebody who's active, enthused, motivated enough to do it. Whether you call yourself a mountain climber before you start or not, at some point you have to recognize you are a mountain climber, and that's the important thing, not being on the summit. That's the end result. So that was a lot longer than I expected it to be. It's easy to get on these things and just go and go and go. I thought this would last about 30 seconds. But like I said, I'm going to put that James Clear link down there because I'm always watching stuff like that and trying to improve how I'm doing things. And I think being a relative beginner, having something like that is really basic, and I've learned a lot about writing goals and scheduling them, and figuring out the steps, and how to define them, and everything involved. And it gets kind of complicated and hard, and this was much easier. This was much easier in that I don't have to get bogged down with the goal. All I have to do is focus on the little things day by day, and once I build up a certain level of consistency, the goal takes care of itself. So that was real good stuff. That's what I need. Simple stuff that I can use to push myself to get outside of my comfort zone, as opposed to big stuff that tends to feel overwhelming at times. So that's that. I thank you for watching, and if you didn't watch, well, what's wrong with you, man? I will talk to you later.